Hi, it's Larry Herb, Xbox's Major Nelson. Welcome to the official Xbox podcast. You've liked, you subscribed, you smashed all the random buttons, and I'm going to smash a button right here. Ready? 1, 2, 3, boom!
Look at you, Larry. Look at you. When you're randomly smashing buttons, don't hit the 1 star, by the way. You don't hit the 5. That all the randomness should go away at that point.
It should be on the right-hand side. Anyway, welcome back. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Larry. And hi, Jeff. It's good to have all three of us back together again.
Well, you know what I was doing? We were doing a little audio video check before we went in here, and I just need to do this right off the bat because we're all kind of in our beautiful little boxes here, but we have another friend in the back.
I know.
He seems not amused.
Been eating apples, so he's like hoping I'll give him some.
Oh, well, go ahead. There you go.
Yeah,
anyway, there's Pumbaa. Anyway, great to see everybody. We were off last week, but we did the live show a couple weeks ago. Rebecca and I and Malik and Kelly joined us. Jeff, you were AFK or AFS.
You know what? It looked amazing. I'm sorry to have missed it, but
you missed Rod.
I left and I love Rod. I'm so excited for Diablo. They announced that was a server smash,
server slam.
Server slam, May 12th or something.
His new tattoo.
Did he get a new tattoo? I remember when he got the Gears tattoo at first.
Right.
So, all right. Well, anyway. Big fan of anything that he does and his team does. But,
I'd like some more apples, please.
I know, right?
See, you look what you did. You should have thrown that at the end of the show.
Anyway, there we go. Well, we're excited. We're going to talk about what we're playing. We've got a couple interviews, some interviews later on. I've got the white gloves ready to show off some stuff. We'll do that during the news section. But first, we're going to jump in. I'm actually so excited right now because usually it's very rare that I'm able to tell Jeff about a game, and I did. So let's talk. Let's go a little bit towards on the Jeff side first, because I know, Rebecca, we've got something we're going to show for you. But Jeff, I'm so excited you're playing Dredge.
Yeah. So I never ignore a grizzled New Englander when they recommend a seafaring fishing game. I'm dropping crab pots, and I'm thinking of you. So I had been playing for a long time, Resident Evil 4 and Marvel's Midnight Suns. I finished both of them in the past weekend. The level of the weight that is lifted when you beat a game, because there's so many games coming down the line. I'm like, I have to focus. I loved both of those games. RE4, probably my favorite game I've played so far this year. The remake, loved it. And then Midnight Suns, I'm glad I went back to that, put 65 hours in, loved every moment of that. And then I was like, okay, got a few days here before Star Wars Jedi comes out, Jedi Survivor. Mm-hmm. What do I play? And
what are you going to play?
I listened to you. You talked about Dredge.
I've been talking about it for like a month.
Great. I know. But I couldn't start another game. I started it. It's so great. It's a game that knows exactly what it wants to be.
Yep.
Is focused and does such an amazing job. So you've talked a ton about it. I just love how it's there's this nice amount of dread, but it's not a horror game by any means. Just when you're fishing
coming off Resident Evil, it's rather.
I know, yeah, it was made it a little easier to deal with, but at the same time, when you're fishing and you start to see the sunset, I'm like, hurry up, catch that fish! I gotta get this thing onto the boat and head back to port.
Because Rebecca, I don't know if you know this, you've had a chance to play it, but nighttime is kind of dread time. Like you want to be safely tucked away in port.
Exactly, because that's when weird things start happening. Some weird things happen in the day, but you start hearing weird noises from the deep. You might honk your horn, and you'll hear a reply, but you don't see anything in the fog. There was nothing more relaxing.
By the way, have you figured out with the horn? That was one of my favorite features. So at night, you've got one of your tools in your tool wheel is a horn.
Yeah.
But if you kind of play with it, Jeff, and go that, just kind of screw it, it'll echo back the exact same pattern.
I figured as much, a little Marco Polo action.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's a really cool game. And again, I think it takes 12 to 14 hours to beat. It's a good, change of pace and just the way you control the boat. It's all it's just really cool mechanics and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So great job to the folks that made Dredge. Team 17 published it. And I highly recommend you give that a go.
It's,
cool.
It's very interesting because like I say, I know I got Phil to play it as well, Phil Spencer.
Oh, really?
So I've seen him play. He and I were texting back and forth. So I'm just so thrilled that y'all like it. So I know a lot of people were excited about that. So yeah, what else you playing, Jeff? I mean, you actually went through a bunch there. So.
Yeah. I'm a big Genshin player, and they have an RPG game from the same publishers, Hoyoverse, called Honkai Star Rail, which I'm super into it. I love it already. I'm playing it on my PC, and it looks great. And I downloaded it on my phone, so that'll be my also game. Like, why not? Why not just throw more games onto the fire, especially with amazing things coming out this week and next week.
We have Jedi, we've got Redfall. We've just the list keeps going.
Benedict Fox. We'll talk more about some of these, but there is no shortage of things to play right now.
And how? What about you, Rebecca? I know what you're playing over there. So let's talk a little bit about what you've been up to.
Yeah, so I played a little bit of Minecraft Legends on the live podcast that we did in studio.
May I just say something? You did a phenomenal job with that, because it is. I mean, I know that there's millions, probably millions, I don't know, people who are playing and streaming at the same time, and it's not something that and those people are great, but it's not something you do or Jeff does or I do on a regular basis. Being able to have a coherent conversation while you're playing, and there's no editing. This was a live show, so we didn't know if you were going to finish that level. So I was like, oh, here we go. But you did great, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very stressful. It was also like I had really specific things I wanted to say too, because I wanted to explain the game, and so I was really struggling. And I was like 3/4 of the way through, I remember thinking to myself, "Oh God, my mouth has been open for so long. I need to close my mouth while I'm playing." But yeah, it was palpable fear going through my body, thinking that I wasn't going to destroy the base.
Well, it's also, I mean, the other thing is, it's a little different when, Mr. and or Mrs. Streamer is streaming and they're playing, but you work on the brand. So you want to show it off in a good way. So there's another layer there that's kind of like, we up the difficulty. So, but you did great.
Yeah, exactly. But so I'm proud to say that my skill level has gone up considerably since then. So I've been playing a pretty good amount of Minecraft Legends. I think I'm like 7.5 hours into the campaign so far. I'm holding off. I did do one PvP match with some of the folks on the team, but for a few people had never played before, and so it's like you really do need to at least play through the tutorial to get a good grip of how you control things, how you collect resources, how you navigate the world. So I'm holding off on PvP for now. I want to get through the campaign, make sure I feel super pro. So I just hit my mic. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the campaign. I know. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the campaign. I played a little bit last night, and I took a little clip if you want to show that.
Oh yeah, I do have the clip here. Let me like any good talk show, we've got some clips here. So let's go ahead and bring that in.
Yeah. So I've been figuring out how to use these different mobs strategically. So this base that I attacked, it was at 100% strength. You can see that there on the top, and there were tons of piglins and enemies crawling all over. I already kind of went through with my more combat specific mobs. I also forgot I fell. So when I fall, my units also fall with me. So go back.
They follow you. Follow and fall.
Yeah. I'm leading my army into battle, which is actually, and then here they are coming to find me again. So I already kind of cleared through most of the enemies. And so now what you're doing is attacking the structure, the portal with the purple window up there. And so I have a lot of these mobs that are better at punching and taking down structures.
So you used a real strategy here.
Yeah, actual strategy, right? Yeah. And then the mossy golems are the ones with the green on their heads. They're healers. And so, if me or my other mobs start taking damage from the enemies, then I can, what was I doing here? Then it'll heal us so we can still keep fighting. So it's pretty cool. You can see the percentage the base is getting taken down. So while these guys are chipping away, I kind of come in and start taking on the piglins. But the world is really interesting. It is, how did you describe it earlier? But with the night cycle, the piglins get stronger at night. They are more offensive at night as opposed to defensive during the day. So it's something to kind of keep in mind, the day and night cycle, kind of similar to Minecraft itself. Yay. So, all right, I defeated the base now.
Do you want me to keep playing or what?
Yeah, you should.
Great,
the cinematics are actually really good. I think I've mentioned it before, and I get a lot of hate for this. I usually skip over cinematics in like Halo and stuff, which I know everyone says the Halo cinematics are so
all the cinematic directors in the universe are like sad right now. You just killed them.
I know. But the cinematics in Minecraft Legends are really good. Like, look at this animation. Isn't it so cool? Someone kind of joked to me that this is what the Minecraft movie should look like.
That's not what she's saying.
No, I know. It would be awesome to see a movie like this, right. But I think it looks so good.
This is a movie. It's a little mini movie.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's probably enough. But there are so many really good cinematics like this throughout the game. So
check it out. It's on Game Pass. There's no reason you should not.
It feels like good manager training. You know, you were letting your creatures, do their thing and learn. But then when they had obstacles, you like piglins, you helped clear them out so they could continue their work. And
any good manager does that.
It's good. It's good delegation.
Right.
So
I'll
put this on
my
put your annual
review.
What about you, Larry? What have you been playing?
Well, I'm turning around here. We talked about Dredge. I've been going back and finishing up and trying to scoop up some achievements there.
See what you did.
Thank you. Trying to scoop them there. They've been sitting in the crab pots. Ghostwire Tokyo, which is now available on Xbox Game Pass. I started playing that. Dead Island 2, started playing that. And then I've got Jedi, which is sitting here preloaded, ready to go. So that, in fact, we're going to do an interview later on where we're going to talk about that. But that's kind of my gaming space right now. I just haven't had a lot of had a little bit of time, but I had family in town here visiting. So when family's in town, gaming kind of takes a deprioritize, even though it's what I do. So, but that's what I'm playing.
Next week is going to be a big week. So
next week is going to be a big week. We've got also some news here, and usually we lean on Jeff to bust out some of the news. Jeff, are you feeling bustable?
Oh, I'm here. Lean on me when you don't have news. So like you said, lot to play over the course of the next week and change. So the big release this week is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I know we're going to be speaking with someone soon. We have a great piece on Xbox Wire. Our Danielle Partis has gotten to play about 10 hours of the game. And something I would love for you to ask, I know you haven't recorded the interview yet.
Yes.
When you play a game that's like a Metroidvania game, a game where there's places you come to and you can't get there yet until you get the right power, and then you have reason to go back, and like when you get a new power, you're like, oh, now I can do this. It's always like a great feeling. But in a lot of those games, especially the sequels, by the end of the first game, you've got a lot of power. And then in the second game, it's like, well, where do you go from here? And there's usually some conceit where you lose all of that power, and then you end up rebuilding it back again. That apparently is not the case here. Cal Kestis is actually more powerful at the beginning of Jedi Survivor than he was at the end of Fallen Order. So that's really cool. I would love to know, like, how do you then raise the ceiling that much further? Because you are a real badass at the end of the first game. So that's what I'm really excited to see how they handled that. And I know I'll be excited to play that out by the time you've listened to this. Also out by the time this show airs, a game that was really exciting at the showcase. One of the most talked about games at last year's Xbox and Bethesda showcase, which is The Last Case of Benedict Fox, another game that is being called a Metroidvania, a 2D, I believe, maybe not 2D, a Lovecraftian Metroidvania. This one looks really cool. It's out on console
also
and
from
PC.
Rhode Island. H.P. Lovecraft was also from Rhode Island, much like R. Kelly.
And Dredge has like some Lovecraftian elements to tentacles. When I see tentacles, I just assume Lovecraftian. So, so that's out now and is available day one with Game Pass. So
have you been to the Kraken game, by the way? That's very Lovecraftian.
I have been to the Kraken game, and there's they do a really cool thing at the beginning of the game where there's like this neon tentacle busting through the ice. It could showcasing, I guess, showmanship. Anyway. Enjoy that.
We call it entertainment.
I guess if you want to just get to the core of it, Larry, if you want to boil these things down instead of talking yourself into a corner like I love to do. Also out this week, also available on Game Pass for cloud console and PC, BlazBlue Cross Tag Special Edition. This is I would say a venerable fighting game franchise, but a new game. And what's really cool about this is they're pulling in fighters from across a lot of different worlds, including from, and this definitely caught my attention, Persona 4. So, and then also Ruby, which, like, if you like the Rooster Teeth folks, you might be very into Ruby as well. There's a lot of different sort of almost like a anime style, fighters mega mix situation here, and a lot of different franchises there. So very much interested in checking that out. And since it's on Game Pass, no reason I can't. Also, Cassette Beasts on Game Pass this week on PC, and that is looking really interesting, an open world RPG. Of course, when we look ahead at next week, we've got Redfall on May 2nd. Mm-hmm. And there's something that I know that you'll want to talk about that. And before we get to that, before those gloves come on, a couple of really cool updates from some of our long running games. One, Grounded. Once Grounded went 1.0, you might have thought, okay, well, mission accomplished.
No.
No. They had their super duper update, which came out this week. And there's a lot of really cool stuff here. Over 100 new craftable items, new creatures. There's a base coziness feature, which I thought was really interesting. So next time you go back to Burgle, you're going to find this super duper machine in the Oak Tree Lab, and it allows you to duplicate like specific equipment using raw science and items that are duplicated. That's something that just makes things easier for you. So they're already into version 1.2, and a lot of new cool stuff in there. And also something interesting, because we know a lot of folks like to enjoy our games. Our games are out on PC. At the same time as they are on console, and it's now Steam Deck verified. We know a lot of folks are enjoying portable PC gaming.
Verified is like such a bad word lately.
Yep,
but in this case, it's great.
And if you haven't tried it and you have a Steam Deck, there is a free Steam weekend that will be taking place later this month for Grounded. Highly recommend you check that out. Also, Flight Simulator. This is very interesting to me because I think this is going to be some of the most beautiful scenery in the world, and probably some really fun takeoffs and landings. Oceania and Antarctica are part of the Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Do I get skis on the bottom of my airplane to land on ice?
It's a good question. I mean, there are some seaplanes, so I'm sure you can land.
I said ski planes, not seaplanes.
I know what you said, but you can land right next to it, I'm sure. Anyway, but here's some of the places that are added, and some of those beautiful places in the world. Hawaii, Easter Island, and so you can see those Moai statues, New Caledonia, New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, French Polynesia, which I've been lucky enough to be able to go to once. So Bora Bora Airport is in there. I've been to Moorea, and Moorea is there. And so these are some like just stunning places that are really cool to be able to visit. And then of course there's new planes as well. Some cool Discovery flights. You can fly to Tahiti in a Cessna, which would scare the heck out of me, but probably very beautiful.
That's a long flight.
Well, maybe you're flying in between the islands because the islands are all very far apart.
You go there from here, that's like Amelia Earhart style. That is not.
Yeah, no. So these are the Discovery flights where you specifically go to specific places to see beautiful things. Hawaii's Mauna Kea on the Big Island in a specific plane. So
that would be
just
really cool.
The gift that keeps giving is Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I just love how they've gone from place to place to place. All right, Larry, I've talked enough.
All right.
Put those gloves on.
All right.
Show us what you got.
Well, why don't you, I'm going to go full screen here. So why don't you go ahead and walk me through, because we've got, actually, you know what? Let's, I got a couple things to show here. Take a look at that.
All right. So as you explore the thrilling world of Redfall, we're excited to bring you the newest additions to Xbox Design Lab with Redfall Limited Edition designs. There are quite a few of them, and I believe you have an imagery.
I've got two
of that. And so there's one for each of the playable characters in the game. And what's cool about this is you just go through and you pick the one you want. And because it's part of Xbox Design Lab, so you can go through there. And while each one of those skins does feature Devinder, Remy, Jacob, Layla, it's still, because it's part of Design Lab, you can still customize the D-pad, the bumpers, the triggers, the back case. You can still make it your own. So even if you have the same front skin, you both like Devinder, your controller is still going to look different than
that D-pad
your friends.
Nice.
Right?
Oh, that's cool.
And of course, you get to add things like rubberized side and back grips for additional support. Highly recommended. If you want to go for metallic triggers, all of those things. And of course, They support everything you would expect from an Xbox controller. And that means if you think you're going to be playing Redfall on PC, these connect beautifully via Bluetooth to a PC. And there's always that great feature that when you're using the same controller, jumping back and forth between a Bluetooth input, such as a PC or an iPad or something else, and an Xbox, if you double tap that top syncing button,
I think we call it the bind button.
The bind button. Well, you can switch back and forth between the two, which is super convenient. I use that quite a bit.
That is really cool.
Yeah, yep. That's the power.
You'll see the Nexus will flash, and then you realize, oh, okay, now I'm going to Bluetooth, and you double tap it again.
You want to see a little
connect
tip
to your console?
Talking about controllers. Speaking of tips, by the way, those are available now, right, Jeff? To go order at Xbox Design Lab.
Correct, sir. One
of my tips that I have is, I've got the Elite Series 2 over here, Jeff. I don't know if I ever showed you this, but I have you have profiles that you save.
Yep.
Right. What I do is I have different. I turn the controller, the Xbox logo into different colors.
You're a little out of focus there. Put on your
cool.
reading glasses. There we go.
So I'll have it blue when I'm on the Halo profile. I'll have it red for Apex, and I'll have it orange for Overwatch, or just off. So it's kind of a little tip. You can go in there and change color if you want to. So just a little fun part there. So that's what you need to do. Anyway, thank you for that news, Jeff. We've got a couple interviews. I hope we're going to go in them. So Rebecca, why don't you give us a lead into the interviews, if you would, please?
Sure. Pumbaa and I would like to take us into the interviews now.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor launched today on Xbox Series X, S, and PC. And I'm excited to talk to Jeff Magers, the design director at Respawn right here. Welcome, Jeff. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me on.
Very excited about this title. We're going to get into that in just a moment. But first, I want to talk about design director. What does that mean? Because, that sounds like everybody's dream job in the video game industry, because you get to design and direct.
Yeah, it's a pretty good gig. Basically, what it means is that I, along with my fantastic team, I'm in charge of the worlds of Jedi Survivor. So we design the levels, we design the worlds, we design the combat encounters that go in those worlds, and we design kind of the exploration and collection systems as well. I'm partnered with another design director, Jason DeHarris, who is the owner of the AI and the hero combat systems.
Well, before we get to into the interview, this is the interview, but I want to ask you one question right off the bat. This is an extraordinary playground to play in the Star Wars universe, right? I grew up with it. I'm sure you did, obviously grew up with it, and we all know this. It's got to be exciting for you as a design director to be able to go, okay, and roll up your sleeves and go, and kind of have some fun with it, right?
It's really fun to have this universe of toys to kind of play with. And as a designer, we're trying to make the best game possible. And then we look around in the universe, we see what the different TV shows, we see what the movies that we grew up with have, and we can take elements of those and work closely with Lucasfilm to, incorporate those elements. You'll see in our planet Kobo, we've got the Separatist droids, so B1s, B2s, kind of from the prequel era stuff. Of course, we have Stormtroopers, all those Empire units that we can bring in and play with. So there's a ton of fun stuff to play with in the Star Wars universe.
And I'm just showing a little bit of the gameplay here, which looks amazing. We all certainly remember the game a few years ago, and I just loved spending time in the universe and feeling like a Jedi, and you guys are bringing it back. But, this is the sequel to Star Wars Fallen Order. It's part of the Star Wars Jedi series. What can players expect from the sequel, and do they need to play Fallen Order to continue here?
Absolutely not. Of course, if you played Fallen Order, if you're a fan of Fallen Order, I think you'll be a big fan of Survivor. But I would say if you're new to the series, join it. It's a great time to join in. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan, I've heard from fans of Fallen Order that, they weren't a Star Wars fan before playing the game, and they kind of brought them into the universe. So I think that even if you're not even a Star Wars fan, that we try to make a really fun game for anyone.
Yeah, and like you said, we talked about this universe you get to play in that Lucas created, and it's so much fun. And but I, from the first game when I was playing Fallen Order, you really felt like a Jedi. You as you were leveling up and you were getting your abilities, it just felt so amazing. And I just wanted the game to continue. And now it can. Where does it fall in the timeline of the first game to the second game? Tell me where they fit together chronologically.
So it takes place 5 years after the ends of Fallen Order. So Cal is a more mature Jedi, and we wanted to express that like as soon as you pick up the controller. So we took a look at all of his abilities, his movement, his combat, and we wanted to make it feel more involved and kind of older, more mature Jedi. So I think that it's also a really dark time to be a Jedi. It's kind of the worst time in the whole universe to be a Jedi. And so this story will kind of follow Cal kind of exploring his place in that really dark timeline of the Star Wars universe.
And we certainly are introduced to, and I don't want to give away any spoilers here. I have not played the full game. But you're certainly if you're familiar with the Star Wars universe, you see some characters that you may know, you come across some species you may know. So it's got a little bit of comfort there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, the playground of Star Wars gives us this great canvas to kind of bring in characters that characters or creatures or species that players really identify and love, and it also gives us a really fun opportunity to kind of make new ones. I mean, in kind of the spirit of the Jim Henson sort of like Muppet like sort of thing that's all throughout Star Wars. Like we can make some really fun characters that have a lot of personality, and that I think will be really memorable.
Tell us more. I mean, the first game and certainly this game, it's about exploration. So tell us about the new opportunities for exploration that players have in Survivor.
Absolutely. I mean, with Fallen Order, we felt like we put a really good framework down, but there were a lot of things we wanted to improve on. And exploration's one of them for sure. So we made a much larger game, much more expansive this time. So the worlds in places are much more open. It's not an open world game. There are still kind of very handcrafted sections and level designs, but there's also spots where it opens up much wider. And to do that, we wanted to really improve the exploration rewards. So we put a big focus into our customization system. So you can now kind of put different outfits and customization on Cal, change his hairstyle, change his beard, change all the pieces on BD1 to make him look different and make him your own. And you can find all those things through exploration. You can also find gameplay rewards. Now, we expanded that. We've got this perk system where you can find these perks that can help Cal customize his play style as well, so it feeds back into combat. So we took a look at the exploration of the last game, took a hard look at it, and decided what we wanted to update. Another thing that we really wanted to add that we did not have in Fallen Order was fast travel. So in Survivor, you can fast travel between any meditation points you find, which really aids in the exploration, especially with a more expansive world. So if the player wants to explore down a side path, a random cave, they've got kind of they know, and they've got the security that they could warp back to the main path and continue their story quest. And at the same time, they could warp back out and explore more. So it gives players much more freedom of exploration, kind of permission to explore how they want.
Yeah, and I'm just littering this interview with all this great gameplay footage that you guys sent over that we're sharing here. We talked about Jedi combat, and it's how it's evolved, and Cal's going to continue to grow in strength. You talked about that a moment ago, and he's going to be evolving his Force abilities. Tell us about some of his new combat stances, because there's 5 new from what I understand. If you could kind of walk us through those and what those mean.
Absolutely. There are 5 stances, lightsaber stances for Jedi Survivor. Now in Fallen Order, we had 2 stances. We had the single blade and we had the double bladed. So we wanted to take kind of those 2 and expand and grow Cal's suite of abilities. At the end of Fallen Order, we had a double stance, or a dual wield special move set.
Yep.
And we wanted to take that and turn it into its own stance. So that's the first thing we did. And then on top of that, now we've added a crossguard stance, which hits really heavy, and also a blaster and lightsaber combination stance, which is good for range, and in my opinion is like a very stylish way to play. So I like playing with that one.
So there's a lot going on there. We talked a little bit about the of course, the game Jedi lightsaber, but you can do a lot of customization with it as well, can't you?
Yeah. So the stances give you a really good way to customize your play style, but at the same time, we're making return of the very in-depth lightsaber cosmetic customization, which you're seeing here. You can change all of the parts, and you can change the materials. You can change the level of wear. You can change your lightsaber color. So there's lots of different knobs to tweak. The artist did a fantastic job of bringing a bunch of cool.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
And then you know what? This type of customization we thought was really successful on Fallen Order, and so we brought the style of lightsaber customization to all our other pieces too. So you can, here you go. You can customize BD in the same way. He's got some different parts that you can swap out and kind of give him slightly different personality, while he always still feels like BD.
Right.
You can kind of make him your own. And the same thing with Cal. We've got the different pieces: jacket, shirt, pants, hair, and beard that you can customize on him to really kind of make him the Jedi that you want to play with.
Yeah, I mean that's fantastic. I mean, we all love that because we all want to, we all love Jedis. We want to be one, and this is kind of the closest I guess I'll ever get to being one. Jeff, working on the game, what has been the thing that you are personally most excited about in this game?
Well, I'm excited about all of the exploration that we're offering, all the different things that players will find, in their journey. If they see a cave, they'll follow it and hopefully find something surprising, be it, a mind-bending puzzle, a difficult traversal sequence, or like a terrifying boss. All these different things are kind of around every corner of the game world. So that's probably what I'm most excited about.
There's so much going on here. I can't get over it. And this is available. I want to point out to folks right now, this is available today. Putting the podcast up on a Friday, it's available today. I mean, I can't really say too much more because I want you as a gamer to go enjoy it. Jeff, before I let you go, do you have any final comments that you want to share with the audience and on behalf of the team?
Really, I mean, thank you for playing. We're excited for people to get their hands on it. Like, the team is watching like people playing online and streaming, and very excited to kind of see everyone's responses. I hope everyone really enjoys it.
I know what I'm going to be playing for the foreseeable future. Really appreciate it. Jeff Magers, you're the design director for this amazing title. I mean, it feels like it's been coming out, that I've been waiting for this forever, but I'm so excited to get my hands on Star Wars Jedi Survivor, available right now, Series X and S and PC. It's also available on like PlayStation and a few other places. So Jeff, thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, Larry. And look, we're so excited to hear about Star Wars Jedi Survivor that I actually missed one of the news stories. So real quickly, it actually came in as we were recording. The May Games with Gold are available, and well, pretty timely. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Yes.
That is available May 1st through May 31st. Ooh. And then halfway through the month, a game called Hoa. This was one I didn't know much about. You travel through beautiful mythologically inspired world of Hoa. Play as a fairy named Hoa, returning to her homeland to reinvigorate the terrain and its inhabitants. A soothing, meditative puzzle platformer, which will utterly charm you with hand-painted art and a beautiful score. And of course, if you're an Xbox Live Gold member, or if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that's for you to take.
There you go.
So I looked up Hoa, but the only thing that showed up was homeowners associations, and so
HOA. Yeah. Maybe that's
but
part of it.
It looks really cool. It looks very Ghibli-esque.
Nice. Which always has my eyes and ears. Yeah. So anyway, great. All right, gang. Well, listen, we're going to let's go through here and we'll wrap it up here. I want to thank you guys for joining us. It's great, Jeff. Great to have you back. Rebecca, always good to see you, and not more importantly, but also Pumbaa. So bring apples, pal.
Any more apples for Pumbaa?
Yeah.
Yes, but they're in like big pieces.
All right, we'll be back next week. Got a great show next week. We're leading up. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, so we'll be back next week. Remember, as Jeff likes to remind you, and I will do this now, like, subscribe, leave a comment on YouTube, hit us up on Twitter if you want to know any more information. Love to chat with you, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.